go. We're live. Yay.
A little early. Better run out there with that. I'm already live. It's going.
Well, the more I get to know you.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Yeah.
You know that?
Okay,
No,
go
no
ahead.
pressure.
What did you say? You're
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I have a little bit of a cowlick, so sometimes it's a little bit of a cowlick. Oh, it's like right here, like that. So that's why I'm always, yeah. But thank you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, thank you very much.
Good morning and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living here in beautiful San Clemente. We're so glad you're here with us this morning. And we'd like you to join us in our very first sing-along song of the day, which means you're going to stand up, stretch those legs out, and we're singing a song called Make Your Own Kind of Music.
Make your
Capistrano Valley community. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living in San Clemente. It's a beautiful day to be alive and to be here. My name is Judy Chapman. I'm one of the assistant ministers here at the center, and I am delighted that each one of you decided to come home this morning and join us. We are a trans-denominational center, which simply means that everyone is welcome. So, welcome home. We're going to start the service with the Flames of Faith. And this is a call to service. We perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths come from the one great universal presence that we call Spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. We light the candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and the practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as a path of love. We light the candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of compliance with the will of God as the highest calling. We light the candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and the path of peace. We light the candle for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And as practitioner, Donna Wallace lights the last candle. Let it represent the path that brought you here this morning. Please join me in affirmative prayer. We join together in this cosmic stream of pure, loving God consciousness, knowing that I, you, he, she, we are one. For there is only one truth. There is only one life. There is only one divine essence. And this one is everywhere present at all times. It is the Alpha and the Omega. It is timeless and it is spaceless. And it is the first cause to all of creation. And it is the beloved. And I know that each one of us is a sacred activity of all the qualities of God. Every single quality of God is expressed through us. We are the light. We are the illumination. We are the kindness, the compassion, and the joy of Spirit. And this morning I affirm and I decree that each one of us is here today on purpose, listening with our spiritual ears to the message from Dr. Heather, listening and knowing the truth that sets us free. I know that we are alive, we are awake, and we are aware of this essence. within us. And it guides us and protects us and loves us. And so I place my word into that divine mind where it has already been created. It is already done. And I fill my heart with gratitude and thanksgiving for this truth as I anchor this prayer in confidence, in love, and in joy. So please say with me, and so it is. Now I'd like to invite Hans Smith up to do our declaration and affirmation.
Thank you, Judy. Good morning.
Good morning.
Wow, you look great out there. Okay, we're going to do our Declaration of Principles. You can find it here. Oh, look, it's there too. Okay, all together with feeling. I believe in God, the one creative intelligence, operating through the universe and operating throughout my entire being, now and always. I believe this perfect spirit operates on the law of mind and creates my experience exactly according to my belief. I believe this perfect creative intelligence can be used by me and by every other person to produce health, abundance, and love in mind, body, and total life experience. I use it now, and I rejoice in it, and so it is. You did that so well. Let's get together with our affirmation. And there it is. Today, I embody the essence of spirit by going within and communing with that spirit, and then moving about my world, behaving with kindness, goodness, love, and compassion for myself and for my fellow humans. And so it is. You did very well.
Thank you, Hans. And please welcome the quartet. While they're getting assembled up there from my right to left, we have Rick Dale. First tenor, Michael Whitney, Jimmy Van, and Dave Freeman. And the first song we're going to do for you is a Peter Yarrow song called River of Jordan.
Hello. Hold on a second. Sorry. I got short. You ready? Yep. Wine.
I traveled the banks of the river of Jordan to find where it flows to the sea. I looked in the eyes of the tired and hungry and saw it was looking at me. I wanted to know if life had a purpose, what it all means in the end. In the silence I listened to voices inside me, and they told me again and again, there is only one river, there is only one sea, and it flows through you, and it flows through me. There is only one people, we are one and the same. We are all one spirit, we are all one day. We are
song and I hadn't heard it before. Thank you so much, the quartet. And love that a cappella part where we could hear those harmonies so beautifully. And since we're only one people, only one name, I'd like to introduce someone that I am as the president of our board. Please welcome Fred Mercado.
Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Okay, so many of you have received the One Call Now message, which said that we had an offer on our building, and what I'm making a request that you attend a brief meeting after church. So we'll do a 10-minute break, bathroom break, then we'll come back immediately, and then just a short 15-minute break. We'd like to present the offer to you. We think it's a good offer, and we'd like to get buy-in from you as a congregation. And as I see it, this is step 2 of a process. So step 1 is we had a vision of what we wanted as a perfect home. Step 2, now we're looking to sell the building. Step 3, find the building. And then step 4, move in. So thank you all, and hope to see you all in your seats 10 minutes after the service. All right, thank you.
It's a little bit of a teaser, but you'll find out later. So my talk title is What is Spirituality? And I'm reminding my good friend David Walker, who was the head when we used to have a president of Centers for Spiritual Living, of International Center for Spiritual Living. And he and I and 2 other wonderful men, Dr. Kennedy Schultz and Dr. Chris Michaels, wrote curricula together. And so we were busy doing this curriculum writing, and David loved to do this. He was a performer. His former career before ministry was he was a singer on cruise ships. He had a wonderful voice, hardly ever would sing to us his colleagues or his congregation, but he would do this. Very spiritual, you know. Such a very spiritual person that I am. And sometimes people think that spirituality is that piousness, that something that I don't know what, it's stuck up, nose in the air, and it's the opposite of what spirituality means. What spirituality simply means is seeing with God's eyes, speaking with God's voice, being present with the I am presence, no matter where we are, what we're doing, who we're talking to or about. It's all spirit. So if we think Spirit God is speaking to me, or Spirit God is what I'm listening to, that's spirituality. And so many places is when we begin our spiritual education, oftentimes we start with, well, where do you see the divine? Where do you see God? And almost always people will say, well, in nature. I see it on my walks, my beach walks, on my walks here in Southern California, where for me it's like the palm trees or the sound of the breeze. But the beauty is spirit. It's spirit as form. And that's what Ernest Holmes says. He says, it would be like someone who is an artist, and you're thinking, well, the artist must know beauty, but they appreciate beauty. They're not necessarily beautiful themselves, but they appreciate beauty. And so the same with us as being spiritual, we recognize, appreciate that presence everywhere. And it's intangible, and yet it's so felt. We can feel it. We feel it in terms of love. We feel it in terms of connection with one another. People will say when they come into our center, from the moment I walked in, I could feel that presence. I could feel that love. And that's a huge, wonderful compliment. We're grateful that that is people's experience, because that is spirit at work. That's spirit in us. So what is spirituality? It's simply God in you, God in me. And for me, the whole idea of spirituality is the idea of love. And I've been rereading, I think, Grant, this is one of your books that used to give away, I Had It All the Time by Ellen Cohen. Is that one of the ones? Yes, yeah. So I've been rereading Ellen Cohen's work, and Ellen Cohen is, I think he studied Course in Miracles, but he sounds very much like a Unity or religious science minister, and very personable, and he likes to tell stories about his spiritual experiences. And one of the stories he tells in this book is the story of visiting this farm on Maui where he lives. And this farm is a retreat, a place for animals who've been injured or treated unkindly. There are over 400 animals on this farm. And he said, when I went to visit, he wasn't really interested in me, but he's willing to talk to me. So he's following a pace behind the owner who's giving the, telling about the farm, explaining to him about the farm. And he's greeted by a blind dog. He gets the name of the dog. Then he's greeted by a pig with curly tail. And then he asked about parrots. He said, yes, as a matter of fact, we have blue parrots. And the blue parrots are in the living room, so they goes to the cage, and this parrot comes out, and he said, when we got him, he had no feathers at all because he'd pecked them all off because the former owners had kept him in a darkened closet and didn't know that that was going to be heartbreaking to this parrot. And anyway, 400, so finally Alan said, well, what got you started on this journey anyway, that you have all of these animals and of every species? He said, well, my wife, Susie, was diagnosed with terminal cancer. So we left New Jersey and came to Maui so she could die in beauty. And she was doing some herbal medicines, some Chinese herbal medicines, and she was doing well, and the Chinese herbalist that she went to said, you might want to also do something to be in service. Give of yourself somehow. And she went to the pet store, and there was a dog there that was not doing well, was sick. And so she took the dog home with the owner's permission, dog well, and then she'd take the next sick animal, next sick animal, next sick animal. 13 years later was when Alan Cohen met them. She had no cancer whatsoever because she'd been in service. That's spirituality. That's the presence of love, of the givingness of spirit, and following your dreams, following your heart, paying attention to the clues, because life is always giving us clues. I say that, and you notice I'm not wearing a watch, and now many of you I know don't wear watches anymore, because we all have cell phones. Well, I have a cell phone, but the battery in my iPhone 6 needs to be replaced, and I missed the January 31st deadline because I understood I would have gotten a much better deal. But anyway, I need a new battery because it's conking out. The battery in my watch also went. So I've been thinking to myself, what message is this? And the message that I came up with is, I don't need to depend on anything external to empower me. The power is within me, just like the power is within you, because the power is God, is spirit, and it's eternal. It doesn't depend on anything outside itself. I probably will get a battery for my watch, and I probably will get a new battery for my phone, because I like those conveniences. But I don't need them, because even though I use my phone for an alarm clock, Spirit woke me up anyway. It woke me up when the battery died. Went ding, and oh, okay, the battery's now dead. It's actually plugged in and it's got 1%. It's been plugged in for hours, it's got 1%. Okay, so information, it's just clues. It's just clues. Reminds me of a David White poem that I brought to share with you. And David White says, who isn't familiar with David White? Okay, well, from now on, you want to pay attention. He's a current poet. He's spoken at one of our conventions a few years ago in Denver. Very handsome, wonderful voice. And so this one's called The Opening of Eyes, and it's from his Songs to Coming Home. That day I saw beneath dark clouds the passing light over the water, and I heard the voice of the world speak out. I knew then, as I had before, life is no passing memory of what has been, nor the remaining pages in a great book waiting to be read. It is the opening of eyes long closed. It is the opening of eyes long closed. It is the vision of far-off things, seen for the silence they hold. It is the heart, after years of secret conversing, speaking out loud in the clear air. It's Moses in the desert, fallen to his knees before the lit bush. It's Moses in the desert, fallen to his knees before the lit bush. It is the man throwing away his shoes as if to enter heaven and finding himself astonished, opened at last, fallen in love with solid ground. Let me read that last part again. It is the man throwing away his shoes as if to enter heaven and finding himself astonished, opened at last, fallen in love with solid ground. When we are aware of the presence, we are opened at last. And to fall in love with solid ground, to fall in love with what is, with the facts of life, the nature, what surrounds us, is the very greatest thing we could ever fall in love with. Reality. The reality of God, which is without form, without space, and the formless and spaceless, and yet is that which empowers and enlivens and imbues everything with itself. It is that thing that, in The Shape of Water, the very last thing was the poem that probably Del Toro wrote, and it's very Rumi-like. And it basically says, your shape is everywhere. You are everywhere. This thing itself is everywhere. It doesn't have a shape because it's in and through and as all. So, what is spirituality? And better question, what does it matter? It matters because this thing that God is, loves you. The thing that is spirit loves you, knows you intimately, embraces you as the very best thing possible in life. So I want to just give you a little history about coming here. 6 years ago, next month, we had our annual general meeting in San Juan Capistrano. We'd been there 33 years, renting a beautiful space in the plaza there. And 33 years the center was there. And for 33 years, or at least for the years I've been there since 1999, we had been building our building fund to purchase a home of our own. We've been having meetings every month to purchase a home that we owned. And finally, we found this just down the street from the center. There was a parcel of land for sale. So we all got excited. We went and looked at this parcel of land, and of course we would have had to terrace and do all sorts of things. And so at that board meeting, annual meeting, we had decided as a board of trustees we didn't have enough money saved. We couldn't possibly buy a home of our own yet. We had to buckle down and save some more. So I gave that news, and we did it. We really showed them, everybody had gone over to see it, etc. We did our due diligence. So this is how Spirit works. The very next, so I said that to all the congregation, the very next day, I got to work and there's a flyer on my desk. Church for sale, San Clemente. It was a picture of this building. And I went, oh, really? I just said we didn't have enough money, but maybe. So we came over and looked at it. First, Diane and Patty and I and Karen came over and just looked. And we didn't get inside. We just looked at the outside, looked around. Oh, this is interesting. At that time, our neighbor building had one tenant, the, what's it called, candy, the ear candy? No, Evolution wasn't there yet. Skull Candy was there. And they all we saw of them were their wetsuits out in the parking lot because they were not here. They played and then they'd leave. Then Evolution Hospitality moved in and they also good neighbors. They asked us to come and do a blessing for their center, which we did, which I did, and we am good friends with them. And then our neighbor Sovereign Health came and took all the parking lot spaces and continued taking all of the parking lot spaces. So it's much better now, thanks to some negotiation of our board of trustees, et cetera, and some diligence with our business managers. But it was quite a ride. So what happened after looking at it and finding out the price they were asking, we started thinking, well, maybe we had enough. And so Dina was our realtor and she wrote an offer, and this was years of plan. And then they didn't do anything, and that was like weird. Why didn't they at least respond? But little did we know there was somebody else that they were negotiating with, so we were like their second choice. Anyway, the offer was finally accepted, and in the mid-September, we moved in. October 1st, the center, the spiritual part of our organization moved in. So that's 5.5 years ago. We've been here 5.5 years. But prior to that, so you need to hear the whole story. Prior to that, we had spent many, many, many times visioning about our right and perfect home. What does our forever place look like? What does it feel like? What's the energy there? What's it going, and when we looked at this place, it didn't look a thing like our vision. Not one thing. It's concrete, our vision always had greenery and so on. Didn't look one thing like it. So what we knew was this was the first step. Or as Fred said earlier, really the second step. So the first step always is to get a clear vision. What's pulling you? Where are you supposed to be? And what's pulling you to itself? And we did do that as a community. We did it as the ministries here, the practitioners. We've continue to do our due diligence. So now here we are at step 2. And it's quite exciting. And What I know is that that thing has never let me down. It's never let me down. That thing itself always provides. It has provided jobs out of the clear blue. That was back when I was a teacher. It has provided signs from the universe that you're on the right track. It's always there if we open our eyes, open our hearts. So, if there's something in your life that you desire, that is calling to you, and you know it's for you, ask yourself, if this is really for me, what's holding me back? Am I afraid of something? Am I trying to force the universe to comply with me? Am I willing to take the next step? Am I willing to take the next step? And then, if the answer is yes, hold on to your hats. Because it's going to happen. It's going to happen. That's how it works. It's always working for us because it works through us. It's always working for us. And even when it appears not to work, it's working. On page 54 of the textbook, Ernest Holmes says that very thing. He says, and even when it appears to work, not to work, it works by not working, because if you doubt, if you're planting seeds of doubt, the universe cannot comply by giving you what you say you want. It simply has to correspond to your doubt. It simply has to correspond to your doubt. So take a deep breath. So here's the secret of everything spiritual. There's no individual good, only individualized. What that means is this is for our good, it's for everybody's good. If it's for this center's good, it's for every center's good. If it's for this person's good, it's for all of our good. There's no individual good, only individualized. Something wonderful is happening here today. And it's happening by means of you and me, the spirit within us. There's an old poem that Alan Cohen writes in this book, and I'm going to close with it because it's so apt. And it says this. Oh, by the way, the essay in here, Living the Science of Mind, is the shortest one in the whole book. It's only a page and a half. And by all means, read it. This is called The Touch of the Master's Hand. It was battered, scarred, and the auctioneer thought it scarcely worth his while to waste his time on an old violin, but he held it up with a smile. What am I bid, good people, he cried. Who starts the bidding for me? $1? $1? Do I hear two? $2. Who makes it $3? $3 once? $3 twice. Going for $3. But no! From the room far back, a gray-bearded man came forward and picked up the bow. Wiping the dust from the old violin and tightening up the strings, he played a melody, pure and sweet as an angel sings. The music ceased, and the auctioneer, with a voice that was quiet and low, said, "What now am I bid for this old violin?" as he held it up aloft with its bow. 1,000? 1,000? Do I hear two? 2,000? Who makes it $3? 3,000 once, 3,000 twice, going and going, gone, said he. The audience cheered, but some of them cried, "We don't quite understand. What changed its worth Swift came the reply, the touch of the master's hand. And many a man with life out of tune, all battered with bourbon and gin, is auctioned cheap to the thoughtless crowd, much like that old violin. A mess of pottage, a glass of wine, a game, and he travels on. He is going once, he is going twice, he is going and almost gone. But the master comes, and the foolish crowd never can quite understand the worth of a soul or the change that's been wrought by the touch of the master's hand. And for us to remember that master isn't someone, something distant. It's in each one of us. It's in each one of us right here, right now. It is what's making the difference. It is what is beating your heart. And so it is. Thank you for your love. I receive your love, and now we're going to pray together. In this holy moment of right now, I recognize and know that there truly is only one power, one presence, one divine mind. And that mind is eternal love, unconditioned and unconditional. It is that which is building my body, that which is moving through me and through everyone here. I speak this word in the first person for each one. This is what I know is true. I know that there is only one, and that one in me is glorified today by being recognized as the source of all, as that thing which empowers me, his presence itself, his spirit itself. That thing which is the master within me, that is greater than I know myself to be, and yet depends on me to plant the seeds of thought, the seeds of truth, to awaken to the vision of who I am and what I am, and then to realize and move steadfastly toward that vision. So here is what I know. I know that I am one with the creativity of this mind. And that creative process moves through me with great and wonderful and new ideas. Ideas that bless, ideas that inspire, ideas that build and rebuild. I am so grateful for that creative process within me. And I know that it blesses everything I am and everything I do. I see with eyes made new. I see new things in new ways. And I am renewed. I am transformed by the renewing of my mind. And I'm grateful for all of it. I'm grateful for the body that this one is building for me, moment by moment, taking all of the things and turning them into flesh and bone and blood and energy and aliveness and youthfulness and vitality. And this thing itself that is love, and its presence is unconditioned and unconditional love, is the connecting power among all of us and between individuals. It is love that brings people together in marriage and in love. It is love that brings friends together and in communication and freedom. It is love that brings a center like this into existence. And so we celebrate that love. We're grateful for that love. We're grateful for the power and the presence of love as our lives and in my life. I'm grateful for the abundance that is certain to be evident, for it is spirit in action. So much good. I behold it all, and wherever I am, I steadfastly see through the eyes of God. I see good and good only. I hear good and good only. I refuse to be taken off track by any storms of life, and simply allow the buoyancy of spirit to help me rise up and stay arisen. I'm so grateful that this is so. I'm grateful for this day, for the opportunity to pray together, for the words of this prayer, for I know that what I have spoken is greater than the words I used to craft it. It's already blessing everyone here and everyone watching. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so with my heart filled with gratitude, I simply release this word into the law of mind. Mind of God has it, and please help me anchor it by saying with me, and so it is. Thank you. And now, the quartet.
We're going to throw a little James Taylor at you. So if you feel like it, sing along. You know this one.
You can play the game, you can act out the part, even though it wasn't written for you. Tell me, how can you stand there with your broken heart, ashamed of playing the fool? One thing can lead to another, doesn't take any sacrifice. Oh, father and mother, sister and brother, if it feels nice, don't think twice. Shout to the people you love with love, show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna work out fine if you only will. Shout to the people you love with love, show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be much brighter if you only will. You can run, but you cannot hide. This is why you know. Say what you're going to do with your foolish pride when you're all by yourself alone. Once you tell somebody the way that you feel, you can feel it beginning to ease. But I think it's true what they say about the squeaky wheel, always getting the grease. Shower the people you love with love, show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be much better if you only will. Shower the people you love with love, show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be much better if you only will. Shower the people you love with love, show them the way that you feel. Shower the people you love with love, show them the way that you feel. Shower the people you love with love, show them the way that you feel. Shower the people you love with love, show them the way that you feel. Shower the people you love
time for us to share our gifts, our tithes, our offerings, and so I invite the stewards to come forward. My offering is in my and we're going to say our prosperity affirmation together, and then we're going to spend a moment in deep gratitude and silence, followed by I am so blessed, that we'll all sing, and then I think the quartet has something to finish up. So please join me. My offering is my acceptance of God as the source of my supply, and symbolizes my faith in the abundant flow of this supply.
rest in God and say Amen. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say
Thank you so much for the great today.
We had started that spiritual practice of taking the moment of silence to really bring spirituality and awareness to every moment, including our offertory time. And boy, that was magnificent. Thank you, Quartet. Another spiritual practice is the practice of being in service. And so if you are in service today, would you please stand so we can give you a lot of love? A special subset of those standing are practitioners. Practitioners are trained in the art and science of affirmative prayer. If you want your life transformed, make an appointment to see one of these people who are standing, or go and to find out what they do. They'll give you a mini version on Sunday because we have a very short time today at the affirmative prayer table or in the meditation room. And the people in service today are Hans Smith, Aidan Greeney, Donna Wallace, and Pam Rock. Let's acknowledge our practitioners. And if you are visiting us for the very first time, and I know some of you are, and you're very brave, if you would just indicate that you're here or even stand, perfect, stand. We're going to give you a gift, and we're going to affirm you. So stay standing. I know that we've got high and mighty consciousness right here. So we're going to affirm you. So take it all in. Welcome to our center.
Welcome to our center.
We are so glad you came today.
We're so glad you came today.
We know who you are.
We know who you are.
We know what you are.
We know what you are.
You are God's emissary of love.
You are God's emissary of love.
And it's our privilege to have you here today.
And it's our privilege to have you here today.
And so it is.
And so it is.
You should have received a green bag, and in the bag is a welcome card. If you fill out the welcome card, take it to the bookstore. So through the drawers and through the doors, you'll receive a gift. Yes. Okay. And now, a cast of Days of Our Lives for the announcements.
And to you, Dirk, take Tiffany to be your lawful wedded...
Stop the wedding!
I'm back.
Bianca, I thought you were dead.
I even went to Madame Zoe for a seance, and she couldn't make a conscious connection with you. We try to have conscious connections every Sunday at 12, but today there's this special meeting. So anyway, we finally just had to have you declared dead.
Well, since you're still married to Bianca, I can't marry you to Tiffany.
But I'm in love with her.
Oh, this crazy little thing called love.
Wait, isn't that the name of the Wednesday Wisdom Talk being given by Dave Friedman this week?
Yes, and I had planned to go, but I'm not sure I'll make it that long. I have that Krytos lycanthropy.
What a coincidence, darling. The world's leading authority on Krytos lycanthropy and every other ailment known to man just happens to be visiting our little town of San Clemente Heights.
You mean Dr. Heather Dawn Clark's class on the book, You Can Heal Your Life, on Tuesday evenings from 6:30 to 8:30?
None other. But then we'll have to act quickly, as I heard that she was leaving on a spiritual tour. Perhaps to Bali?
No, I couldn't possibly go to Bali.
The last time I was there 8 years ago was when I was robbed and thrown overboard on that cruise, and a dolphin pushed me to a deserted island where I've been languishing for the past 8 years.
Why don't you give Dirk a divorce and then you can go to Sedona or Santa Fe or Costa Rica, even on a historical science of mind tour. I'll even talk to Carla at the back table on your behalf. Just please let Dirk go.
I'll only set him free if you pay for me to go to the Spiritual Living Convention, which is being convened this year in Irvine from February 19th to 22nd.
To register, look online for Spiritual Convention 2018, and then I can marry the two of you.
Thank you for understanding, Bianca. And Tiffany, that means that we can go to the 50th anniversary of this center on February 23rd.
But I thought we just had our 30th anniversary last year.
That's because you've been in a coma for 19 years.
You know I can't remember that because of the amnesia.
It's okay, I've already spoken to Rita and Grant McVeigh about reserving space at the table.
I never got an invitation.
It's in your bulletin, and they're seeking sponsors for the event, so if that appeals to you, see Pam Rock.
But Dirk, before I go, what are we going to do about the children?
You know, you were always the light of their lives, so we should sing This Little Light of Mine for them.